That weird bump in the road that does not match any lane, it is not a mistake, it is a clue. New York City is covered in stuff like that. Tiny sealed doors, plumes of white smoke, rooftop shapes nobody can explain, and most people walk right past it. We are counting down 10 hidden in plain sight mysteries, starting with the one built right into the street beneath your feet. In the 10th place, those strange lane dividers and odd curb cuts on New York streets aren't just bad design. They're fossils from the streetcar era. Back in the late 1800s, streetcars ran along tracks right down the middle of major avenues. When the trolleys vanished, the lanes and curb shapes stayed behind. Sanborn fire insurance maps and city records show how these old tracks carved up the road. Today, some of those leftover shapes still guide traffic or slow cars down. Most people never notice, but every weird bend or divider could be a leftover from a vanished rail line. Number 9, those tiny doors and arches tucked near stoops and basement walls look like leftovers from some forgotten story. But these little openings were once the lifeline of city homes. Coal was dropped down chutes to fuel old furnaces before central heating existed. Ice delivery men used separate doors to haul heavy blocks inside, keeping food cold before refrigerators took over. Some arches let in deliveries or gave workers a way in without walking through the main entrance. Early building codes even listed coal doors as required for new tenements. Newspaper ads from the 1910s offered ice door rentals for summer. These odd details weren't decoration, they were built for survival in a city running on coal, ice, and daily deliveries. Number 8. A skinny little house wedged between bigger buildings can stop you in your tracks. These are called holdouts. They exist because one owner refused to sell when everyone else gave in. The most famous is 75.5 Bedford Street in the West Village. It is only 9.5 feet wide, just enough for a hallway and a staircase. Built in 1873, it started as a carriage entry and became a home when the block filled in. Property records show the lot kept its shape while others got combined for bigger projects. Court filings and zoning rules back up the story. If the owner will not sell, the developer has to build around it. That is how a single stubborn lot can twist the shape of a whole block. In New York, even the tiniest parcel can stand its ground. Number 7. The bumpy streets lined with chunky stone blocks are more than just old-fashioned charm. These are real Belgian blocks, laid down in the 1800s when ships from Europe needed heavy stones as ballast. When the ships unloaded their cargo, they left the stones behind. Those blocks became the city's first real pavement. Maps from the New York Public Library and photos from the Museum of the City of New York prove that some stretches are still the originals, not just decorative copies. Preservation groups have fought hard to keep these blocks from being paved over with asphalt. Every time you step on one, you are walking on a piece of shipping and paving history that has survived over a century of city change. Number 6. Fire escapes and cast iron facades might seem like they belong together, but their stories split in two. Fire escapes hang from tenements and old factories because of disaster. The Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire in 1911 killed 146 people, and it shocked the city. That tragedy pushed lawmakers to pass the 1911 Tenement House Law, forcing builders to add metal stairs outside for a quick escape. These ladders became a symbol of safety reform, not just decoration. Now look at Soho's cast iron fronts. These facades come from the 1860s to the 1880s, when foundries could stamp out whole building faces in iron. It was fast, cheap, and it let architects design big windows. Soho's blocks are full of these iron masterpieces, but they are not fire escapes. They are the bones and skin of the building itself. Two famous sites, two different reasons, both shaped by the city's need to adapt. Number 5. Those metal grates scattered across city sidewalks are not just random street hardware, they are the lungs of the subway. When the first IRT line opened in 1904, Engineers used a method called cut and cover. They dug trenches under the street, built the tunnels, then covered them back up. But all that underground space needed fresh air. That is where the grates and ventilation shafts come in. Air flows in and out, keeping the tunnels from turning into ovens and helping clear out dust and fumes. MTA engineering drawings show how some shafts run straight down to the tracks, while others snake sideways under the pavement. The next time you feel a rush of warm air from below, you are catching a breath from the city's hidden transit system. What looks like a plain metal grid is actually a vital piece of New York's underground life. Number 4, take a closer look at those fancy rooftop penthouses or attic rooms topping some of New York's most expensive buildings. Not every one is what it seems. Many are just mechanical floors in disguise, hiding giant air conditioners, water pumps, or elevator systems behind walls that look like luxury apartments. Developers use this trick because city building codes let them skip counting mechanical space in the floor area ratio, the number that limits how big a building can be. As long as the space is mostly for equipment, it doesn't add to the building's official size. The Department of Buildings even has rules about disclosing when a top floor is just for machines. That's why some buildings have what looks like a penthouse, but it's really just a shell for the guts that keep the whole tower running. Next time you spot a glamorous rooftop, it might just be a clever mask for pipes and fans. Coming to the top 3, thick white clouds pouring from orange and white stacks in the street make Manhattan look like it's alive. That's not smoke or a broken pipe, it's steam, and it's on purpose. Under the pavement, a 105-mile network of pipes carries super hot steam to heat and power about 1,600 buildings. The system started in 1882 when the New York Steam Company fired up its first plant. Con Edison took over in 1936 and still runs it today. Every hour, the network moves over 11 million pounds of steam. Sometimes, to keep things safe, workers vent steam up through those stacks to relieve pressure or get rid of water that sneaks in. But the pipes are old. In 2007, one exploded at Lexington and 41st, sending a geyser of steam and debris into the air. That blast killed one person and injured more than 20. The city keeps watch now, but every plume is a reminder. There's a hidden power grid running right under your feet. Number 2, those wooden water towers perched on rooftops are more than just old city style. They are the answer to a problem with water pressure. City water mains can only push water up about 6 stories. Go any higher and the pressure drops. That is why buildings pump water up to tanks on the roof. Gravity does the rest, sending water down to every faucet and fire sprinkler below. Most of these tanks are built from cedar staves wrapped with steel hoops like giant barrels. Cedar swells when wet, so the tank stays watertight without glue or chemicals. There are about 10,000 to 17,000 tanks still in use, and 3 family-run companies have been building and maintaining them for over a century. City law now requires every tank to be inspected and cleaned once a year. If a building skips this, the fines start at $250 a day. Next time you spot a wooden tank overhead, you are looking at a working piece of engineering history. And finally, in first place, the secret behind New York's famous skyline is not just style, it is law. Those stepped-back skyscrapers with their wedding cake look all trace back to the 1916 zoning resolution. Before this rule, buildings shot straight up and blocked light from reaching the street. People complained about shadows and crowded sidewalks. City leaders decided to fix it. They wrote a new code that forced tall buildings to pull back as they got higher, letting sunlight and air reach the ground. That is why towers rise in layers, not sheer walls. The rule shaped every new building for decades. You can find the original maps and documents in the municipal archives showing exactly how the city planned its future. Today, the wedding cake silhouette still marks New York's skyline. It is not just a look, it is a clue hidden in plain sight that city rules. Not just architects built the city you see. Across all these city clues, one thing stands out. New York hides its biggest secrets in plain sight. Every odd pipe and weird rooftop tells a story about how the city works right now. And guess what? Every city has its own mysteries waiting to be cracked. What have you noticed?